What's up, guys? We're doing the annual post-draft review video. This time we have a guest. We got old Cgaucher. Cgaucher, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm glad to be back. It's always a great time whenever I do these little twists with you. Got to do one last year, and it was fun. It's really fun, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
TWIF is going to be back full-time. Also, Jackson, who is Fantasy Nightmare in this league, did his own little draft review video, and I plan to have him on in future episodes, so make sure you go watch his draft review video as well. I plan on having multiple guests on to review the draft. So Jackson has his standalone video, but he will be a guest in my videos in the future when we do the weekly review and previews. So Cgauch, first things first, let's talk about the divisions. I haven't done a video in a long time because I've been without internet, so I'm a little bit rusty on the extended speaking. But so Cgauch, what do you think about the divisions changing?
Um, I mean, it's not gonna break the league or anything like that, but I was kind of disappointed to not have like all the same rivalries that we have. Like me and Weston are still going against each other, so that's fine. But it's just like it's kind of frustrating not being able to play the same people every year. I kind of like that aspect of it and being able to look forward to trying to beat some people that may have beaten me last year.
Yeah, personally, I really liked how we had the same divisions for a while. We kind of actually started to develop rivalries because, at the beginning you're playing the same people every year, you're opening with the same set of games, and then at the end, in playoff time, those games that you really, really have to grind out and win,
Yeah.
that's when you're playing your division again, so. Okay, so let's just jump right into reviewing the teams. So what's even more fucked up about all of the divisions being screwed up is not only are all the rivalries kind of lost, the names are screwed. So like the Cursed Lands division is a reference to Cgauch winning despite all the odds and just in general kind of Cgauch, your infamy. You're known very well for it and
hmm
just sort of your
The
unique
curse,
style
man.
and the curse. And no matter what your team looks like, you're dangerous. And then Lily was in the division too. I was in it, and Weston was in it, who's a very strong owner. So that's why it was the Cursed Lands. And in the Division of Death, Spencer claimed that, oh, my division's so good, and then 3 of the teams had losing records, and he was the only one with the winning record. So that's where that comes from. Now, if you ask Spencer, I'm sure he'll say, no, dude, one year we had a lot of the top point outputs. But
He's like, we had the top 4 teams in our division.
yeah, so that one's weird because Spencer is in a division now with you and Weston, who used to be in a division with me, and
hmm
then Cameron, who, when was the last time you had a winning record? Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, I can't even remember. I think me and Weston kind of have that division in the bag.
Really? Over Spence?
I don't respect Spencer. Dude.
Oh, see,
He
gosh.
look at his backs. I mean, C.J. Anderson, he's
Alright,
made
let's
of
jump into it,
glass.
yeah.
Like, what? Carlos Hyde plays for the 49ers. I don't think I need to say more. He has a good receiving core. Derek Carr, he's probably going to tear his ACL again playing against my Chiefs, hopefully. But Doug Martin's out the first 3 weeks. Like, look at this team. Kelvin Benjamin, I think, will have a good year. Jordy Nelson, I have Aaron Rodgers to cancel that out. Like,
Well, he's
yeah.
playing Cameron in the opening week.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like when we play, like
Oh,
in our
okay.
matchup, I think that like only dangerous player, 2 players on his team are AJ Green and Derek Carr. So I mean,
What about
I
old
don't see
Jordy?
his team as a threat.
Jordy
Jordy,
was really
like
good
I
last
said,
year.
I mean, it's like him or Adams are catching the touchdowns from Rodgers. So it's like if I throw a touchdown to Jordy with Aaron Rodgers, it's just like I cancel his points out. So
Yeah, but
it's all good.
what about like the 13 other weeks where he doesn't play you? Like he still gets to benefit from those players,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. But I think I think when it comes down to it, if we have the same record, I'll beat him in the head to head to take the division. So I don't think his team's gonna. I think he'll take third in our division.
Okay, so the way that I want to do this, I want to go week by week, and
Okay.
then I don't want to but unlike the normal TWIFs, I don't want to bounce between each position and kind of like preview the matchup. I want to go all the way through someone's team, evaluate it, then go all the way through the other person's team, evaluate it, and then give a prediction at the end.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start out with Okay, so I'll evaluate Spencer's team since you just evaluated it, and then we'll do Cameron's. So I really like Derek Carr. He was great last season, and I think he's due to have another good year. CJ Anderson is very injury prone, but in terms of how the backs are this year, I think he's okay. Carlos Hyde, I feel kind of the same way about, like, okay, he's not phenomenal, but he's serviceable. He's one of those guys that will go out and get you between 8 and 12 points pretty consistently, which is nice at running back. I think Jordy and AJ are like an absolutely phenomenal 1-2 punch. Nelson was really good last year, proved he could come back from his injury, and of course Green I think is number 2 only to Julio. I think if Spencer has a weakness, it's at tight end. Zach Ertz, he's kind of below average. Usually Philly, I feel like they either try to run it or air it out deep. There's not a whole lot of tight end action. Ever since like Selleck left, and that was a while ago. Hopkins, decent kicker. Cardinals defense had a lot of points last year. Woodhead's solid and could become a big part of their offense. Woodhead is one of those weird guys that I feel like has a lot of offensive focus in a lot of different offenses. Sort of like a Darren Sproles type guy where he's not just a running back. They throw it to him a lot. Sometimes he'll line up in the slot. So anytime you can get guys like that, I think that's valuable. Macklin's on Baltimore, and they're not very good. I really like Kelvin Benjamin, even though he kind of sucked last year. And Dougie Martin suspended, but it gives him a little bit of depth. I really like Spencer's team. He also has Montgomery for Green Bay, which, like, I'm not a huge fan of Green Bay's running back situation really ever. Even though Eddie Lacy left Cgauch, I'm still not loving it.
I think Ty Montgomery, he's not. I mean, he played pretty solid at the running back position last year. Like, he was able to switch over and not fuck it up, I guess you could say. Like, I think he'll do fine. Like, I think he'll be like a Carlos Hyde, get like 8 to 12 points a week. But he won't be explosive or anything like that. Like, go off for like 2 or 3 touchdowns a game or something.
What I love about Spencer's team is he has a lot of consistency at the top with Carr and Hyde. I would consider Anderson consistent until he gets hurt. And then Montgomery, yeah. But then again, like, Dougie Martin will be good once he's unsuspended. And he has the Woodhead option, so he has some consistency at running back and then something to fall back on. I love his 1-2 punch at running back. Both of these guys have a lot of potential to have phenomenal big games. They're not just like consistent slot receiver guys. His only real weakness is at tight end, and it's not really even that egregiously bad.
Yeah, Ertz isn't very bad. I think he's definitely one of like the better tight ends in the league that you can get and actually rely on for some points.
I would give Spencer like a solid A- for this draft.
An A-?
Yeah, I would, because he has so much consistency at the top end and the explosiveness of like those 2 god tier receivers. I mean, AJ Green and Jordy Nelson, both of those dudes are top tier.
I mean, yeah, but those are like Carr, Nelson, and Green are like the only 3 players that stand out.
Well,
I'd give him a B.
Okay. The thing is, that to me, his running backs are consistent, which is what you look for in running backs. So, all right, let's talk about Auto Draft 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I like the new team name.
All right, he's starting off with Andrew Luck, who's already hurt.
What? When did he get hurt?
In the preseason, I guess. But he's not going to play in the opening week.
Oh, wow.
So tell me what you think about Cameron's team. Just run through it. Most of it's auto-drafted, so.
Yeah, I was about to just say auto-draft. But I think I've heard different things about Melvin Gordon. I don't think he'll have another solid year like he did last year. I think he'll be like another consistent back. Like, he's not going to go off or anything. Luck, I think he's overhyped, honestly, Andrew Luck. Ajay is a pretty good back. Demaryius Thomas, I feel like more touchdowns go to Sanders, so I'm not really big on Thomas. Doug Baldwin, now that Curse just got traded to the Jets, I think he'll be a lot better of a receiver. Jimmy Graham, Wilson likes his tight ends. He was even like a huge deal at the Saints, so I think Jimmy Graham's he's definitely top 3 tight ends in the league. I would pick him or Gronk, him, and then Kelsey. Joe Mixon may take over the starting role at Cincinnati, so that's a kind of a big deal. I drafted Jeremy Hill, so I'm not hoping for that. Santos, love him. He's the Chiefs. Seahawks defense just got a lot better. Don't they have like 11 Pro Bowlers on defense now with that
They have a
D
lot of
tackle they
they have
got
a lot
from
of big
Jets?
names, is what they have.
Yeah,
Cgauch. I'm not so sure about the longevity of that defense.
I don't know. The Seahawks defense, man, it's good. It's solid.
What do you think about Kenny Britt as a Brown?
He's a Brown. I mean, not much to say on that. The Browns, I mean, it's just like it's where players go to die. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not too big on him. I don't think he'll do very well. Giovanni Bernard, I mean, it's going to be Joe Mixon, Jeremy Hill, and Giovanni. And he has Jeremy Hill. He has all three of the Cincinnati running backs.
I guess he's just going to start them all.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he doesn't have to have anybody competing for points, I guess. I don't know, to try and take the other players away. J.J. Nelson, he's a fast receiver at Arizona. I think he gets some plays out on like special teams, but Fitzgerald mostly gets all the touchdowns and points for the Cardinals. And Terrence Williams, I'm not very high on him.
He has Goff throwing to him. Goff needs to go play golf. He's that bad. So evaluate Cameron's team here. What do you give it?
Just even if he drafted like the top name players, even since he auto drafted most of the team, I'd give him an F.
An F, okay. I think that's a respectable answer.
He just made me mad for not. It's fucking stupid.
So what gets me is last year he got really lucky when Melvin Gordon had that breakout year. I think it's kind of like poetic justice and kind of funny.
He's still hanging on it. Like he's like, oh, he's gonna go off.
He got, like somehow the computer knew, dude. The computer got him Melvin Gordon again. So I love how he's gonna live or die by Melvin Gordon for a second year in a row. You know, I'm not that high on Ajayi with Tannehill hurt. I don't like. He was kind of a flash in the pan guy last season. Like, I think he's a decent back in terms of, you know, like the pool. You don't have a lot to choose from, but
yeah,
he's really not that good. Never high on luck, real injury prone, real overrated. Can't win in a dog shit division.
Thank you.
Demarius Thomas, I mean, a big name, but there's a reason he fell so late in the draft and the auto draft picked him. Like, the Broncos pass attack, I don't really have much faith in.
Me either.
Doug Baldwin's decent, but like, Russell Wilson likes to run, you know. I'm just not really that big of a fan of Seattle. Like, I think that in terms of having a Seattle player, Jimmy Graham is the one that you want. Which, like, look at Cameron's team. Like, if you look at it as a whole, I don't really understand what he's trying to do. Like, he has all the Chiefs running backs, like you pointed out. He has like all
Cincinnati's running backs.
All of Cincinnati's running backs. He has all of the Seattle Seahawks like air threats. You know, he has the Seahawks defense. It just
I mean, I don't think it was like Cameron trying to do it because he auto drafted probably more than half of his team, but it's like whenever he did make picks, it's like he still picked players from the same teams.
Yeah,
that's why I brought it up. I was like, maybe we need to start putting more money in because I mean, we rescheduled the draft and had like kind of like a stupid argument about it, and we rescheduled it, and he still wasn't there. Like, you can draft from your phone.
You can draft from your phone, as many of us did.
Like, I love Cameron to death, but come on, man. Like, you're Shaqtin' a fool right now. Come on. Jeez.
So what I don't get about his team is he's like putting so many of his eggs in one basket, but they're all really shitty baskets. Like,
that's like what I did the first year I played fantasy. Remember, I drafted all those freaking Colts players.
And look at Cameron's team here. He has Melvin Gordon on the Chargers, Williams on the Chargers.
He has
to me, Williams is one of those guys that's like the perennial disappointing Chargers receiver that's going to get hurt. That beeping is on my end, by the way. I'm getting it fixed later today. And then he has two of the Seattle Seahawks guys. Neither one of them are really that productive. To me, it's like if you're gonna pick one of these hit or miss guys in an offense, like, you should probably pick one. Like, you shouldn't be in a position where you're having to start multiple hit or miss people.
Yeah, take the gamble. Like, if somebody else gets the other player that hits and yours misses, like, all right, you lost, but don't take them both.
Yeah, and then he has the Seahawks defense too to make it even more lopsided, and he has a Brown. He took a player that gets about 100 points a year, all of it in 3 games, and then is on Cleveland now, so he's never going to have the odd good game. I just don't like Cameron's draft at all. I'm going to give him a D minus. I say he's one of the worst teams in the league.
I'd say you're being very generous.
Okay. So obviously I would say that Spencer's going to win in week 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think pretty handily.
All right, let's go to you and Weston, the transplanted division rivals.
Now, do I have to rate my own team? Because I feel like I'd be very biased.
Well, we know you're going to give it a great rating. I'm going to I'll evaluate it, and you can kind of tell me what you were thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, very obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league, really productive. To me, it's Rodgers, Brady, and Breeze are the 3 guys that they're so god tier as quarterbacks. They can spread the love around so much where it makes their offensive options not that great, but it makes them as quarterbacks really consistent. So I can see why you did this, and it's a really strong move, especially if you want consistent points. Then you got Bell again, probably one of the best backs in the league. He's a little bit injury prone, but he's explosive. He gets a lot of pass targets. So right out the gate, you have the potential to have and both of these guys can really go ham too. So you can really get 60, maybe even some weeks out of these two. More consistently, probably at least 44 or so.
Yeah, probably that 40 to 50 range.
Yeah, so I really like your top 2. Then you have Kelly, this loudmouth Washington running back that spent half of his time last year eating shit and the other half talking shit. He's not particularly good. Washington throws quite a bit with Cousins, but Washington's kind of dysfunctional. Cousins doesn't really want to be there. I mean, I'm just not a big believer in Washington this year. I think it's going to be more about the Giants and Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kelly was just a super late pick, and I just saw a starting running back up, and so I was like, whatever, I'll take him. I was going to get Kareem Hunt again, like I did in my last league, but I was going to, and then Jackson drafts him after texting me and giving me so much shit for drafting him. And then he's like, "How do you feel about Hunt starting this week?" And so I'm starting him in my other league, and I tell him that he would go for 2 touchdowns and 160 rushing yards. And he was like, then he benches him in this league, and he gets 40 points. So
we will get to
you,
that.
Jackson.
We will get to
Fuck
Jackson's
Jackson.
team. All right, you got T.Y. Hilton too. See, what blows my mind, Cgauch, is I know T.Y. Hilton's pretty dick road, but you know who's throwing to him? Mr. Injury, Andrew Luck.
I get T.Y. Hilton just because he's like a wide receiver 1. He's gonna get most of those plays from Luck. When Luck's playing good, he's gonna get points, and when Luck's playing bad, T.Y. Hilton's still gonna get consistent points. So it's Moncrief sometimes swoops in and gets one or a touchdown or 2 from Hilton, but that's about it. I think he's the only big receiver on the Colts. That's why I got him.
I see. So the Colts are also a decent team, so he's not going to have a lot of horrible weeks where he doesn't do anything. Then you have Adams. To me, Adams is the perennial Packers guy that gets an insane amount of dick ride preseason, because the experts sit there and well, we know Aaron Rodgers is going to get 1,000,000 points. Someone's got to catch it. They're like, Jordy Nelson's always going to get a lot, probably 160 points. He's real consistent. And that's true. Jordy Nelson always does well, but then everyone else kind of it's a big question mark. I have hair in my eyes. It's very, very annoying. But the Adams guy is the Randall Cobb of last year, because last year it was Randall Cobb that everyone was overhyping and dick riding and overdrafting, and he turned out to be, just another guy that wasn't Jordy. So I'm not really a fan of Adams. I don't think he'll be as bad as Cobb, but there it is. And then you have Henry. I don't really like the Chargers at all. He's okay because he gets touchdown targets. But then you have Rashard Matthews. I think the Titans are due to have a pretty good year in a really shitty division, so I think that's a decent pick. Bryant is really good because Atlanta gets a lot of points, so I like that. The Giants' defense, I don't really think it's very good. And
they had one of the best defenses in the league last year.
But Cgauch, they have a tough schedule.
and they still had one of the best defenses in the league last year. They were like top 3 in points.
Okay. Well, I'll give it to you. Did they lose anyone in the offseason?
I have no clue.
Okay, me neither.
But touching back on Devontae Adams, I was gonna say something about that, but you were still going, and I didn't want to really interrupt. But Adams had, I think it was 8 or 9 touchdowns last year, and Jordy Nelson only had like 6. But also Adams had 3 in one game, so that contributes to a big part of that. But Adams sneaks in for like a lot of touchdowns because like a bunch of people cover Jordy because he's the main threat. So I like Adams just because he sneaks in like a touchdown every other week.
Okay. I feel like Rodgers spreads the ball around too
Yeah.
much for that to be consistent, but to each his own. You have Palmer, he's like really, really aging. I'm not a huge fan of his, but he's solid for a backup quarterback. Marvin Jones, I mean, the Lions suck penis. Doyle.
He had a good year last year.
Alright, Cgauch. Terrence West, garbage.
Yeah, those were auto-drafted. I closed it out whenever I had like 2 picks left.
So you're soft at running back, especially considering Bell. I still kind of consider Bell a little injury prone. If Bell can stay healthy, you can definitely weather the storm because he's so good. You can like have a subpar guy like Kelly, especially if Kelly actually like starts to become more of the feature back in Washington, because as it stands, it's like he'll come in for third down and fumble, and then he doesn't play for half the game. That he had fumble issues last year, so I'm just not too high on Kelly or either one of your backups on the bench. You're really, really top heavy with Rodgers and Bell, but if either one of them get hurt, like you're ultra fucked and probably have a losing record.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a huge fan of Adams or Hilton.
I mean, if Rodgers gets hurt, then they need to get rid of the Green Bay O-line or something. That'd piss me off.
You know, Cgauch, I think I'm going to give you a C+.
What?
What are you going to give yourself, an A or an A+?
I was thinking at least a B. I have Aaron Rodgers and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you have a great top half, but everything else is like pretty suspect, man.
I'm disappointed in that rating. Why? You're getting a bad rating from me.
Oh, come on, Cgauch. You got to be
Yeah, but it's fair. I mean, you give me a bad rating every year, and I've beaten you every year. So it's all good.
Who won the division? The actual Cursed Lands division, not this fucking abhorrent joke.
I got fucked against Weston last year.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I should have won that league, or division.
Okay, so let's talk about Weston now. Go for it, Cgauch.
Do you like that, Kirk Cousins? I think he's not a bad quarterback, honestly. I think he's he has big games and he has bad ones. Like, I mean, he's not like, it's not like I'm going to go in and say he's terrible or he's amazing. Like, he shows flashes of greatness. Yeah, he's a consistent quarterback. LaShawn McCoy, great pickup. I think he's a good back. Leonard Fournette, I think I've been saying this before he got drafted, and whenever he hurt his ankle at LSU, I think he's going to be a bust. I think he's going to hurt his ankle again and be done. Terrell Pryor, not very big on him, especially going from quarterback to receiver. I think he's not a bad receiver. Definitely watching like the training videos and everything like that, but I don't think he's definitely a receiver one. Michael Thomas is a good receiver for the Saints. I think Breeze will throw a lot to him this year. Who is that? Hooper?
Hooper. It's a shitter tight end for the fucking Atlanta Falcons.
I was about to say Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Hooper, no clue who that is. Not even going to rate him. Dalvin Cook, I think he'll...
Rookie running back.
Yeah, I was really wanting the Chiefs to get him, and I was pissed when they picked Mahomes over him, but Kareem Hunt, do your thing, man. Dalvin Cook, I don't really have a lot to say on him. I haven't really paid attention to how the Vikings play. Who do they have at receiver? Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, that's about it.
And I think he'll be a decent back. I think he'll have to do a lot just for the fact that they have who at quarterback freaking played for OU?
Bradford.
Sam
Bradford.
I think he'll have to do a lot more than what people are thinking. I think he'll be a decent back, honestly.
What about Will Lutz?
The Saints are going to... I mean, Breeze, the Saints always score. Like the Saints are always putting up points, so I think he'll get a lot of PAT points and stuff like that, and sometimes like some 20 or 30-yard field goals. The Saints really don't have to kick from very deep just because Breeze somehow always gets them into the red zone. Panthers defense, I think that's a really good defense just because Luke Kuechly. Golden Tate, I think Marvin Jones kind of took over for Detroit last year. He showed that. I don't think Golden Tate, I'm not very high on him. Martavis Bryant has like, when Antonio Brown like has a big week, that next week Martavis Bryant will have a big week just because teams are always focused on Brown. So I think he'll have like an all right season, but nothing too huge. Moncrief already said what I thought about him. He'll sneak in for a couple touchdowns every now and then when T.Y.'s having big weeks. I don't know who Parker is for Miami, but Jarvis Landry will definitely take most of those points. Crowder for Washington. I'm not very big on him. I really don't like him that much. I don't think he's like an explosive receiver. And Duke Johnson, he plays for the Browns. I'm not big on him at all. Any Browns player is just like, I don't like.
All right, so rate this team.
I give it a C+.
C+. All right. All right, Cgauch.
He's gonna be mad with that.
I'm gonna keep it a stack. This team is fucking horrible. Let's just look at it. So Cousins is consistent, but I think he overperformed last year and he's due for regression. LaShawn McCoy plays for the Bills, explosive, was pretty healthy last year. Is he due for an injury? I don't know, but he's due to be a Bill. Fournette, I have no idea why Weston drafted this guy. Cgauch doesn't even believe in the fucking guy. He plays for Jacksonville, really not a threat. Terrell Pryor, sort of like this hokey gimmick player for Washington. Not going to do a lot. There might be a couple weeks where Weston has Cousins to Pryor and it wins him a couple games, but it's not that good. Thomas, this is another Randall Cobb type guy. This guy's going to have his odd 2-touchdown week, but he's projected way too high. He will get some residual touchdowns from Breeze, but it's the trio. Go ahead.
I think Willie Snead will get more points than he will. I think Willie Snead was a better pick than Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and I think you have to. It's like the too many mouths thing, like the Pats, the Green Bay Packers, and the Saints all have this problem where the quarterback's so good they can make anyone look like a god and score, but it means that the receivers, the people who are on the receiving end of that greatness, there's just a lot more of them. And like Thomas is going to be one of these guys that I think is going to be really boom or bust. So the Hooper at tight end voice crack. I know you love those voice cracks, Cgauch.
I love them.
This Hooper was so fucking bad it gave me brain damage and made me voice crack. Why would you ever pick this Hooper guy, Weston? I feel like Weston had his girlfriend draft his team this year or something.
Oh God.
And then he gets Cook, a rookie running back in a dog shit offense and a timeshare. Riveting. The Panthers defense, not even I as a Panther fan wanted to take them because of how horrifically bad their secondary was last year. 29th in the league with 2 rookies. I know Kuechly's coming back. I don't think it's going to be much better. Golden Tate on Detroit, not very good. Bryant, solid guy. I think he'll be starting Bryant pretty much every week. Moncrief, not that great. He's just kind of like what you said, T.Y. Hilton's number 2, I guess would be the best way to put it. Not really high on him. Crowder, again, why would Weston do... I guess Weston really believes in Washington because he's gotten Cousins 2 years...
3 of them.
2 years. He's gotten Cousins 2 years in a row, and he's taken 2 Washington receivers, and neither one of them are Deshaun Jackson. Didn't he go to another team? Deshaun Jackson?
I think so.
Well, regardless...
No, I think he's still with Washington. Look it up.
He's on Tampa Bay.
Oh, he did go.
Yeah, so, and to conclude things, you got Dookie Johnson. You know you're bad when you lose your job as a Brown. So looking at Weston's team, this is actually pretty repulsive overall. I'm giving it a D-. Really the only
D-?
the only redeemable thing is Shady McCoy, and the same quarterback he got last year. Like, nothing else really is tickling my fancy with this team, Cgauch. And that includes the Panthers defense, which again, I saw them when I wanted to draft the defense. I was like, no, they can't stop the pass. So the one year that Weston drafts a really terrible team, he's not in my division. Isn't that funny?
I love it because now he's still in mine, so it's all good over here.
All right, let's go to Ben King of Funny and Rampy. So I will evaluate Rampy to begin things.
Go ahead.
Cammy Newton. Threat as a running quarterback, little bit injury prone. I've never been a huge fan of his, but he's pretty damn good in fantasy. You just have to worry about him getting hurt. I feel like it's like a 50-50 shot. DeMarco Murray, I consider him a premier guy. There were rumblings that other guy in Tennessee might be a little grabby in terms of carries, but I think he'll be fine. He'll get a lot of points. I really foresee Tennessee doing pretty well and Murray getting a lot of touchdowns.
I agree.
Gilsey went off this week, but he was really just the guy that got the touchdowns and he got super lucky. Next week he's going to be horrible and it's going to be like James White or someone else that does well. So I'm not a huge fan of Gilsey because it's the whole, Patriots weapon.
Yep.
Sure, like this week, this is what happens when you have Patriots players. Sometimes you start them and they do get targeted and the offense is good, so there is that possibility for touchdowns. Looking at Aaron's receivers, he has, I think, the same receivers I had last season, DeAndre Hopkins and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley's a solid slot guy. I'll be interested to see how the offense works without Zeke, whether that means like, we're just going to focus everything on Dez now, or we're going to pass way, way more, so Cole's going to get more targets. I really wanted Beasley. What do you think about Cole Beasley, Cgauch?
I like him. I really, really do. He's a small white dude playing slot. He's just tough. He's like a
Edelman?
No, he's like Wes Welker 2.0. He's like the new Wes Welker.
Nice. DeAndre Hopkins plays deep ball threat for a team that can't throw the deep ball. So not a fan of that.
I think Deshaun Watson's going to play good. I think he may get Rookie of the Year. Him or Hunt.
Wow. All right. So does that mean DeAndre Hopkins is going to be top tier again?
I don't know. I think he's going to have to be. I mean, if like the Texans want to have a good season, like they have the defense is there. Like the defense can get the stops, but I think like the Texans are going to have to score if they want to win games. So Hopkins he's going to have to play good, or the Texans aren't going to be good if the defense is on the field 100% of the time. So I think he has no option. Like if he's going to have to be or fail. So.
But will he fail or succeed? That's what I want to know.
I think he'll succeed.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be like top 3 receiver in the league. I think he'll be like.
What about top 8?
Top 10.
Will he crack
top 8? I'll give him
eight?
top 8. I'll give him like I was gonna say 7, but.
All right, you hear that, guys? I'm getting objective statements and rankings like a good host. We got Delaney Walker at tight end, lots of touchdowns. Love that.
Good tight end. I really wanted him.
I like Marshawn Lynch too. He's coming back from that weird off year where he basically rage quit from Pete Carroll's autism. But
I think that was a huge business decision for Lynch because he was just so banged up. Like the past 2 seasons, or the last 2 seasons he played, it was just like he needed that year off. I think that year off was huge. I'm really liking Aaron's team now that I'm looking at it, honestly.
Dan Bailey, I think, is an elite kicker, probably top 3. If David Akers played in the league, maybe top 4, but...
Yep. I agree 100%.
I miss David Akers. That dude was a beast.
I remember I used to specifically draft him just so you wouldn't get him.
One time, Rampy took him in the 7th round to try to spite me out of him.
He's worth it. I would take him in the 1st if I needed to.
So on Aaron's bench, he has Alfred Morris, who for the first 6 games at least, I think, is going to be a solid threat. What do you think about Alfred Morris in the first 6 games?
I agree. I was looking, as you were talking about like Cam Newton stuff, I was looking at his bench, and I agree with that. I think Aaron's team, honestly, I think he has a really solid team right now.
Yeah, me too. Alex Smith, he's just a super consistent guy. I know he just went off for 31, but
Mhm.
Alex Smith is the guy that you can plug in and trust not to get you less than 15, I
Yeah,
feel like.
screw all that Mahomes is ready to start bullshit. Andy Reid just needs to let him throw the ball. Like our problem, like the past 2 years, like 2 years ago, I've been saying it, we can beat the Patriots. 2 years ago, we didn't have a freaking running back. We lost by a touchdown. I think I can't even remember the score. Last year, we choked to field goals because Andy Reid gets the lead and then starts to run the ball when we don't have a fucking solid running back, and then we can't score a touchdown in the second half because he's not letting Alex Smith sling the fucking ball. Like let him throw the ball, and you saw what happens last night whenever you just let him play. Run
So,
up the damn score. We have all those weapons
but
in our defense.
doesn't that change with the new running back though?
I think I think Kareem Hunt will actually help Alex Smith a lot just because I think he's Jamal Charles 2.0. I think he's going to be the next Chiefs leading rusher. And he can catch the ball. He's a really good receiving back. So I think he's going to open the field up a lot, and even with, especially with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, I think Alex Smith's going to have a great freaking year. I would start him over Newton,
Wow. Well,
but I also think Cam Newton's going to have a freaking good year.
he also has
So
Deshaun Watson, so maybe he should dump one of his quarterbacks. I don't know.
I would.
And then he has this Connolly guy on the Chiefs. Any good, Cgauch?
Who?
Connolly on Aaron's bench.
Um, he's like that receiver that sits back, and Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and everybody else goes off, and then he'll catch like a touchdown or two, like every few weeks. Like he's just there. Like he's just a decent receiver that's just like sometimes needs to be there. I don't think he's gonna get a lot of points, but he like sneaks in every now and then, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, Aaron also has Landry, who was insanely disappointing last year and doesn't have a quarterback this year. I think Landry has talent, but I'm just not high on him. I don't really trust him.
I like Landry because he gets targeted a lot. I think it's just like the Dolphins aren't. How do I say this? I don't think they have enough weapons to get him into like open space. I think he gets like he has to get like he gets the ball like every other play, so defense is all over him. I think if they had another weapon there, uh, he would get a lot more points than what he does, just for the fact that he's that good. I like him just especially in like a PPR league. I don't ours isn't PPR, but I like him a lot just because he gets like the most receptions on his team. Like he gets the ball to his way, thrown his way almost 90% of the time. So
Yeah. Okay, so overall, what do you think about this? What's the grade?
for Aaron's team, I'd give him an A-. I really like his team, honestly.
I'm gonna say B plus, and
Yeah,
the reason that I'm gonna say B plus is, here's the thing, he has enough bench depth to make solid trades and really get in a position to vie for the championship. But here's what worries me.
his receiving core.
Yeah, because Cole Beasley is the number two guy in an offense that honestly, like, there's a slight chance the Cowboys, could have a significant downturn this year in terms of the first 6 games at least. And then DeAndre Hopkins, number two. This guy pretty much exclusively goes deep, and that dude Savage is throwing him the ball. Osweiler V2.
Yeah,
Now, he has some running back depth in terms of Lynch and Murray. If Lynch succeeds, that'll be a god tier 1-2 punch. But then he has Alfred Morris, who's probably going to be good at least for the first 6 games. And then you just have to look at his quarterbacks. He has two starter-worthy guys. And if Alex Smith, like if the Chiefs turn out to be the real deal this year, Cgauch,
they've been the real deal the past few years. They just choke.
but if
It's so annoying.
but if Alex Smith is like the real deal fantasy-wise, like if he's
Oh
more
yeah,
explosive, and Aaron also has Deshaun Watson, which like that's sort of more of a long shot. But the point of what I'm saying is he has the tools at his disposal, player-wise, the assets to make phenomenal trades,
yeah. I
and
was gonna say he could trade Cam Newton or even Lynch.
he can shore up some of these holes.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's receiver where he should be worried because you have two number two guys, and they're on offenses with question marks. The Texans' offense is not so much of a question mark as it's just not very good. Like,
Yeah.
you know what you're going to get with Tom Savage. It's just Tom Savage. So So to wrap things up on Aaron, B plus, and I would just say that the first 6 games are really going to matter for Aaron. He has this power spike here early on with Alfred Morris, and if he can get in a good position and then maybe make a trade, maybe sell Alfred Morris high for a solid receiver, and then manage the bye weeks well, he could win his division. Because remember last year, Cgauch, Aaron drafted very well and then pretty much made some pretty boneheaded moves to decrease the value of his team, and he missed the playoffs. So
well, also you got to take in consideration, didn't the Cowboys lose 2 or 3 Pro Bowl O-linemen? Like, didn't they trade them off and leave for better deals?
I think they
lost past year.
They lost Doug Free.
They lost another one too. I know 2.
I think the Cowboys' offensive line will still be pretty strong.
Yeah. Okay,
so let's talk about Ben's team. He's got Mariota at the helm. Now, I know I like the Titans, but I'm just not that high on Mariota, even though he's a running quarterback.
Don't say anything bad about my boy right there. It's an Oregon Duck.
He's okay.
The
fact that he's an Oregon Duck makes me like him even less.
He's amazing.
So Ben took Howard early. Now, Howard, I know he's like one of the few guys that's a solo act, but he's on the goddamn Bears. The Bears are just going to be third world bad, dude. I'm just not a fan of that Howard pick. He also has McAfee, that white guy on the Panthers.
McCaffrey? He's a beast.
Now, McCaffrey's good, but the Panthers notoriously will just shit for brains the run game.
He is a beast, dude. I think he's going to be so good.
They're gonna hamstring him with Jonathan Stewart and Cam Newton.
I think McCaffrey dominates him. Takes over the starting role, no problem.
I hope you're right. I just don't like what college did he go to?
Stanford. Did you not see his Heisman highlight video?
I mean, not recently.
That's probably one of the best Heisman or even highlight videos I've ever seen. Did he win the Heisman? No, he almost did. I think he got like third. Like he was third in the voting.
Okay. So I think he'll do pretty well, but I don't know. Kind of a question mark. He's a rookie.
Jackson wasn't very high on him like during the draft and stuff like that, and I was telling him he's gonna be so good. And then like Jackson started watching him more, I guess, and then he's like seeing it now. But Jackson's pretty high on him as well.
Okay. Well, I'm not very high on Brandon Cooks. Just the whole too many mouths situation.
I agree.
And, like that game, the Pats actually were pretty damn good offensively, even though they only put up 27. And, Cooks had a solid day, but that's about the best you can expect from a Pats receiver without a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he has Allen Robinson, who was immensely disappointing last year. Not a big fan of him or Jacksonville.
It's like Robinson or Hearns are battling the whole time. That's what's annoying when there's like I think the Giants, like Brandon Marshall and like OBJ are going to be like fighting for touchdowns now. Like it's the same thing with Jacksonville. I was thinking they're going to be so good because they got like Bortles and then Robinson and Hearns and then Fournette. Not glass ankle Fournette, but I don't know. I think Hearns gets more touchdowns than Robinson, but they're both Pro Bowl receivers. Like it's kind of hard to. It's like one of those gambles, like a hit or miss gamble, and I think Robinson's consistently been the miss, so I wouldn't have drafted him. But I mean, Ben consistently drafts a good team and has a good season, so I'm not going to knock him for picking him.
I'm not a huge fan of Martellus Bennett either. To me, he's on the Green Bay offense. Jordy Nelson's going to get the touches. Adams going to get the touches. This guy, I don't think is going to get that many touchdowns, so I'm not big on him. Then he has Pierre Garçon on awful San Francisco. Pretty bad. Janikowski's God tier. But the Pats, I would say, have a good defense. He has Adrian Peterson, who I think could potentially be pretty damn good, dude. I think Adrian Peterson low-key could have a good year, but he's still a Saint, so it'll be like, ooh, Adrian Peterson, and I think they'll kind of use him in like a gimmicky role. I don't think he'll be like a solid number one like ground and pound guy like he was before.
Yeah.
Then Ben actually has Jameis, who I think is probably due for another solid season, so that'll be a nice plan B for Mariota. But looking at Ben's team, I'm not really a huge fan of it. What about you?
It's like Ben's team, it's like hard to give my opinion on because Like I like some players like Jameis. I don't like at all because it was his biggest problem in college. He focuses on one receiver and he just sits there and feeds them the ball. Like Mike Evans would probably be like a good draft pick just because he gets thrown the ball all the time. But in turn, he's going to get covered more. He's going to get hit a lot more. He's going to drop, like, more picks are going to get thrown. Their offense isn't going to be on the field. Like, it's always Jameis Winston's problem. He sits there, he finds, like, his best receiver, and he throws him the ball 88, 90% of the time, and he throws picks, and that receiver gets punished every other play. So I'm not big on Jameis specifically for that reason, just because he's going to make a lot of bad decisions and throw more picks. This was his biggest problem in college. That's how he won the national championship. I don't know how they didn't stop that pass play going to his number one receiver. It was obvious. Steals crab legs. So
Does steal
I don't
crab
like
legs.
it. Yeah, I'd give Ben like a B.
I'm gonna give.
It's hard to give him a bad rating because he's had so many good seasons. It's like
Yeah, that's what's fucked up
he
about
just has the science to
That's
it.
what's fucked up about these draft videos is you're supposed to like objectively evaluate the teams, but you know like which owners are better than others. So like
Yeah,
you're like that's the thing is like if you don't factor that into your decision, it's just you end up with like all the wrong ratings. So, but as far as team goes at the moment, I'm giving Ben a C plus.
I don't like Cooks either because it's his first year in a new offense, and like you said, like Amendola, Chris Hogan, Brandon Cooks, Gronk, White and Gillis Lee or whatever
The main
running back. It's like they give the ball to everybody.
The main reason I don't like Ben's team is the offenses that he's invested in. San Francisco receiver, Green Bay tight end, Jacksonville receiver, New England receiver that's not at the primary, you know. McAfee's a rookie, Howard's for the fucking Bears. Like, there's so much of that is not looking that good to me, so.
I think his best players are Howard and Mariota, which is like it should be obvious. I think Howard's going to have a pretty good year just like he did the year before.
Sure.
But I don't think he's going to dominate or anything. Like the Bears would need to have more weapons.
So,
and they just got rid of Brandon Marshall, so.
Yeah. I give Aaron
Brandon
the
Marshall went
advantage.
from the Jets, my bad. What did you say?
They give, their fucking offense has been atrophied since they got rid of Brandon Marshall a couple years ago. But tradition of losing, I think, has the edge in this game, and for the previous game, I'm giving you the edge over Weston.
Yeah, you should.
So we got clap for and no fried. Let's talk about No Fried's team first. The defending champ beat me in the Super Bowl last year. Tom Terrific at the top. Now, Tom Brady, 0 touchdowns last night, but he's still Tom Brady.
Chiefs defense, baby.
Duke Johnson, except it's not.
David Johnson.
It's David Johnson, the good one. I was keeping you honest there, Cgauch. Then he has Perkins, like, ooh, great, the Giants guy that's not going to do anything. I love how every year there's a fucking Giants running back who's projected, like, yeah, this is the guy is going to get 160 points, and he's fucking horrific. So I don't expect anything from Perkins. He might run over the bad Cowboys defense, but to me, this Tom Brady, David Johnson 1-2 is just fucking filthy. That is something to be feared.
Who is No Fried?
No Fried is one of the commissioner's friends.
Okay.
Then he has Alshon Jeffrey, who I think will have a decent year at Philly. Amari Cooper will have a good year, although I kind of think Cooper might get hurt this year. I kind of have a hunch. Then he has Kelsey, who's a really solid tight end, top 5 for sure. Stewart, I don't really like Stewart at all, but there's that chance that rookie could crash and burn, so it's not a terrible pick. Graham Gano, solid kicker for the Panthers. Chiefs defense, very good. Then he has Randall Cobb, the perennial disappointing Green Bay receiver. Jason Witten, who's like a god-tier blocker, but is actually not very good at all for fantasy. He has
He's a super good tight end, like NFL-wise, but fantasy, he just doesn't get points.
Exactly, because blocking doesn't show up on points. Being a leader doesn't show up. Then he has the other fucking Minnesota running back that's not going to do anything. Gabriel, who if Julio Jones gets hurt, he'll be okay, but Jones is just so elite and such a big part of that offense, that's not really an issue.
Yeah. Gabriel's from Abilene. Did you know that? He went to ACU.
No, I didn't. That's really cool.
He was a rookie last year.
Sims is going to get some touches because of Herpty Derp Doug Martin, but, you know, that's just...
It's for 3 weeks, and it's the Buccaneers offense.
Yeah, they're going to be throwing a lot anyway, so...
Yeah.
What do you
A
think
lot
of
of
this?
picks.
What do you think of this team?
Uh, Tom Brady, David Johnson, phenomenal picks. Kelsey, love it, love it. Mari Cooper, I think Crabtree steals a lot of his touchdowns. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think Crabtree is kind of is like kind of peaking in a way. I guess he had a really good year last year. Amari Cooper is a very good receiver, but I think Crabtree is going to steal a lot of those touchdowns. So I don't like him like for that reason. I think he's an amazing receiver, but I think like Derek Carr is just one of those elite quarterbacks that he knows who to throw it to and when to like spread the ball out and not focus on somebody. So I don't think Amari Cooper is going to have like an amazing year, but he's not going to have a bad year. I'd give this team like a B minus or a C plus, just for the fact that he has Brady and David Johnson. That's always a good sign.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B, I would say.
I would say he's going to lose this week because Brady only got 10.
Yeah, to me, this team's a lot like yours. Like, it's all built around the top-heavy core, and if that gets messed up in any way, it's not going to be looking very good. He has more depth than you, though, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think the Perkins guy is going to do shit, but, like, he's definitely going to get some touches, so that's not bad. But there's just not, I don't see a whole lot in this team. Like, Randall Cobb and Jason Witten are both bad. Andy Dalton, like, okay, you have Tom Brady, so that's not really going to count for fucking anything, is it? And then in terms of his bench man, like, Gabriel has some talent, but it's kind of predicated on the odd week or Julio Jones getting hurt. But if you look at just the core of his team, Kelsey's talented. The Chiefs' defense are good. Gano's solid. Jeffrey, he's on a new team and has talent. To me, if Jeffrey has a really good year and becomes like an Eagles deep threat, then No Fried could easily be looking very scary again. But
Yeah.
to me, this is like, yeah. Here's the thing too, is you have Aaron Rodgers and Bell, like insanely explosive, talented players. Bell is injury prone. Like David Johnson and Tom Brady never get hurt.
Yeah.
So I think like
I was wanting David. The only reason like if I had first pick, I probably would have still taken Bell.
yeah.
But the only reason I would take him over Johnson is because he catches the ball. Like he's more dynamic. Like
Yeah.
David Johnson's just a beast.
Bell's a bigger part of their offense, and their
Yeah.
offense is better. They have more ways to get it to him. And like I think Bell is more your style, like more explosive, like fun to watch. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think this is a solid team from No Fried at middle of the pack, probably I would say.
I think he has one of the better teams if like you said, Alshon and Cooper start like playing really well.
Yeah.
I think he has one of the better teams.
And anyway, let's go to Clap 4 because I think this team is just fucking appalling. What do you think about it? Be honest.
He is Matty Ice.
Matty Ice. What is Ice about that third quarter performance?
I mean,
We need
too much ice in his veins. He froze up.
I am proposing we change Matt Ryan's nickname because you can't be nicknamed Ice as your nickname if you blow a lead like that.
He won Offensive MVP last year and took the Falcons to a Super Bowl, gave them a 28-3 lead,
and then pissed it away.
Their kicker missed 2 field goals in the second half. People forget that.
No, people forget
And
that
he was playing against Tom Brady.
People forget that he fell out of field goal range.
Well, first off, they shouldn't have had that big of a lead at all. They really shouldn't have.
Matty Ice, dude,
up.
fucking like Jake Delhomme could have come in and fucking closed that game out. He's like a 40-year-old man.
I mean, it's just like it was like 2 or 3 different. You can base that loss off like 2 or 3 different plays, like him taking the sack and being out of field goal range, and not like not converting on third downs and shit like that. So it's just like it's not. I'm not going to put it on entirely on him, but he has Julio, like a Devontae Freeman. He has Gabriel, like he has a bunch of weapons. Sanu, he has a bunch of weapons to throw to. I think he's one of those elite quarterbacks, that top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I really like him here.
Fantasy points. I think he's one Super Bowl loss. I'm not going to say he's going to have a bad year. I think he's definitely a great quarterback.
Definitely, I was just fucking around. The nickname, like you have to vacate the Ice nickname now. Come on.
Can't. It sticks.
So
there.
Frank Gore is shit, and he's hurt, and he's like 55.
Lamar Miller, I think.
Consistent.
I'm not even going to talk about Frank Gore Longer than 3 seconds. He's dog shit.
Dude,
Lamar Miller, I think he's going to do a lot better now that he's on a better offense.
but there's another
Antonio
running
Brown.
back.
Who?
It's like a rookie. They drafted a rookie.
Who? Oh, the Texas running back? Hell no. Lamar Miller's going to play well, I think. Antonio Brown, beast.
Yeah, really good.
Amazing. What I hate about our league, I don't know if we've changed it. I've bitched about it in the years past, is special team touchdowns. Do we get points for that now?
It's related to the defense, not the player.
That's so fucking stupid. Great special teams player. Like that's some of the reasons like I draft my players. Like Tyreek Hill, great special teams player. Antonio Brown, Tyler Lockett. I remember I drafted Tyler Lockett and he had like a 98-yard kick return and I didn't get any points from it. And I was
It's always
pissed.
been like that, Cgauch.
And I've complained about it every year. It's
Talk
so
about
stupid.
Sammy Watkins, Cgauch. This
Sammy
video's running
Watkins.
so long.
Dude, I don't even want to do this
No,
anymore.
Cgauch!
No, but Sammy Watkins, he's a great receiver. I don't think he has like the quarterback talent.
Off.
Solid receiver. I think he's going to be a consistent receiver. Reed for Washington, I think, is one of the better tight ends. Kirk Cousins likes him, so I think he'll get like decent. Like he'll get his tight end points. Like he's not going to get like 20 or 30 points like a fucking receiver, but he's going to be one of those better tight ends in the league that actually can get you points and you can rely on to get you like a solid 10 or something. Sanu, I think he's the wide receiver too. I think Gabriel gets like open sometimes because he's really fast. Obviously he's on the other team, but I think Sanu is definitely wide receiver 2 behind. Sorry, voice crack. Behind Julio. Dawson, he's probably a good kicker to get because they're either scoring because of Fitzgerald and so you can get those PAT points, or they're driving the ball because David Johnson and those offensive weapons, and their defense is amazing, so they're going to get stopped. So he's constantly going to be on the field trying to get those kicker points. Broncos defense, love it. Antonio Gates. See, right now,
Oh, God. He still plays?
I'm seeing where Kevin's fucking up right now. If he loses this game, he needs to be starting Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown's against Cleveland. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Big Ben. Well, fucking Matt Ryan's playing Chicago, though.
But you get double points from Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Discount double points, dude. You got to be aware. Eddie Lacy, I think, now that he's lost those 300 pounds, I think he may be a decent back again.
Oh, please.
I like him, man. I mean, he lost all that weight. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be an elite back, but
This team wasn't as bad as I thought it was originally. Honestly, because like I'm just gonna go through it. Matt Ryan's really good. Miller's okay. I'm kind of worried like he's not gonna get a lot of points. Never really explosive, sort of like an 8 to 12 pointer. Antonio Brown's really good. Little injury prone, but I like that. Jordan Reed's pretty good. Okay, now that's all that's good about his team, except for maybe Big Ben Roethlisberger. Antonio Gates is a fucking corpse. Eddie Lacy and Sammy Watkins are probably like the 2 biggest jokish fantasy players. Like every single year, people are like, "Oh, draft them. They're gonna get over 100. Draft them. They're so good." And every year they're fucking horrible. And yes, I know, change of scenery. But look where it's to. The committee of running backs in Seattle and LA with Jared Goff. Sanu's decent, but I just don't really like this team that much. I'm giving it a C- because like he has good points, but he also took Lacy and Watkins, 2 absolute bums.
Yeah. I think I'd probably give it the C- as well. I think he's making a huge mistake by not having Roethlisberger start.
Alright, I'm giving No Fried the advantage for that game.
I'd give Clap for Bacon the edge if he starts Ben Roethlisberger.
Alright, let's talk about the new guys.
I love this matchup.
We got Phil Rivers, Pro perennial dumpster fire of a crybaby West Coast quarterback. Not a fan. We got Terrence Coleman, Mr. Bend Over and let Freeman get carries.
I was about to say that.
Now, if Freeman is injured, then Coleman's going to become like fucking god tier. He has old Zeke. Somehow I get to play the first game, but still that 6-game suspension got upheld Elliott. So that's fucking fun for Jackson. Then he has Teddy Ginn. Ted Ginn. Joke. It's like the 5th threat on New Orleans.
He could have a good first couple weeks though, because Willie Snead's suspended for the first 3 weeks.
That's true, and you have to consider that like Ted Ginn is one of those guys, kind of like Kenny Britt before he was a Brown, that can just pop off for 30.
Mm-hmm.
So Keenan Allen, not a fan, probably gonna get hurt.
What?
Gronk is really good, but look, he had a fucking terrible first week. That's kind of funny. He has your boy Hill, and I think this is gonna this is gonna be a threat because Hill just fucking pops off like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Suck up, decent kicker, not phenomenal. Tennessee's like kind of like a balanced offense-defense team, not like a offensive juggernaut, you know. So it's not that good of a kicker. The Jags defense added a bunch of new pieces. They're still the fucking Jags. I'm not that high on them. Darren McFadden, yeah, he'll get some touches. I kind of like this pick along with Morris for Aaron. Decker's a solid pick. I think he'll get some touches in Tennessee's offense. Mike Evans is super good. Like you said, gets a lot of targets. And Henry is doing his thing in the backfield of Tennessee. Isn't he the guy that's trying to take over the job of DeMarco?
Yeah, he's this 12-foot tall, 500-pound monster from Alabama. They're feeding him steroids whenever he was born, I guess. I don't know. He's a fucking beast. But Murray will have the starting job for a long time. I think Henry's like that 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 on the goal line or something like that.
Sure.
Running back.
So to me, this team is really, really good. It has maybe some flaws, some weaknesses, but overall it's really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think Phillip Rivers, right at the top, is fucking not a fan of it. Like, he's going to have good games. He's going to have the dog shit interception games where he retards them away. And oddly enough, this is like one of the only guys in the league without a backup quarterback. If the new guy's is smart, I think he will try to trade whatever it is. He'll try to trade a piece to get a better quarterback because for whatever reason, this league, a lot of people like to roster multiple good quarterbacks. So, I'm not a fan of Rivers at all. Coleman, again, I like him because if Freeman gets hurt, he becomes elite. Elliott's really good, although he is going to be gone for 6 games. You know, man, this team has a lot of strengths, but to me, it has some questions too.
I think he'll go 1-5.
I think
to start the season.
I think he's a B+. Do you think he's really going to do that poorly at the beginning?
I mean, like you said, his best thing, the best thing I'm seeing right now is Gronk. He has Phillip Rivers, who throws a lot of picks. Keenan Allen gets a bunch of receptions, so that's a decent receiver. But he gets injured. Zeke's out, plays 1 week, and he's out for 6 weeks. Look at his running backs. Who does he have once Zeke's gone after this week?
Well, I guess he'll be relying on McFadden. It'll really depend on, in Dallas, who gets most of the touches, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
he is fucked.
Derrick Henry is not that great. Abdullah might as well not even exist.
His best offensive player is Tyreek Hill, and that's it.
I still think this is a solid team because he has Mike Evans, remember, on his bench.
I don't know. I think Jameis throws him the ball too much. I think we'll probably go 2-4 or something to start the season. I'd give him a D.
A D, wow, okay.
A D.
Okay, Fantasy Nightmare, Jackson. Belial, here's the thing. Belial Powell and Crowell, I don't like either one of them. What about you?
Nope. And he was texting me, oh God, whatever. Nope, I don't like him.
I just don't think, Powell on the Jets, I know he gets some touches and he'll get the odd touchdown, but here's the thing with Jackson's team. His running back core consists of the Jets and the Browns, which, both of those teams are so inanely inept excuse me, so insanely inept that I just don't like them at all. Then he has Russell My Jimmy's Wilson, who I also don't like, but the thing about Russell is he does get the running yards. He also has Julio and Fitz, the two, stars of their offense.
He has a really good receiving core.
And Tyler Eifert, who even though he was fucking hurt and bad last year, is a good player. To me, this is one of those teams that's really dangerous. And then he has Diggs, who's a really fast guy and a deep threat. So if you look at Jackson's team, to me, it's like the running backs aren't very good. He has one of the Giants guys. They can never run the ball. Thomas Rawls, Seattle can't run the ball. He does have Hunt, but he benched him. So Jackson has some options, and he's a good manager, so maybe he can cobble something together. But in terms of his team, I'm looking at his team and saying, okay, this is about the receivers.
If this was a PPR league, I'd give Jackson like an A-.
The receivers could really destroy in this team, but I think he looks kind of like you drafted like it was a PPR, which it's not, but I'd give him probably like a, I don't know, maybe be like a B-. I'm just really concerned about the running backs.
Yeah, I'd give him a B- as well. I think it was kind of bullshit that he told me Hunt was shit whenever I drafted him, and then he drafts him and asked me to start him, and I tell him to start him, and then he fucking benches him and gets 40 points. I love that. I think he's definitely going to start him from now on. I like that he has Sanders on the bench as like a reliever because he can definitely switch him in for like Fitz or like for those bye weeks because I think Sanders does get more he steals those touchdowns from Thomas. I think he's a better receiver. I like Lockett just because of the special teams factor, but we don't get points for that. I like Jackson's team if Hunt was in the starting lineup. I think it would be a lot better team just for the fact that he has Powell, where Matt Forte is already starting there, and a Browns running back. I think Isaiah Crowell isn't horrible. I think he's probably one of the better backs you could get for like a reliever back. I'd give him a B- as well, but I'd give him the edge for this game. I don't think Jackson's team's bad, but don't talk shit about my running backs and then take the same ones. Fucking piece of shit.
Okay, so looking at Jackson's team, I would say that if he can get his running backs popping, which like if you look at his bench, like I think he'll be able to cobble together something workable, but
yeah,
I don't know. He might need to go for a trade. He might even want to, as weird as it sounds, like what if he could do some weird deal with Rampy where like he could liquidate Julio and get like two of Rampy's decent guys and maybe like there's another receiver moving hands in there. I don't know, but overall I would actually give the new guy the advantage with Zeke playing this game.
But Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen are playing Denver. Yeah. And Zeke's playing the Giants.
I think Zeke,
2 games they lost last year.
Zeke is going to have like a fucking monster game, and all the Cowboy fans are going to bitch about it into eternity. Okay, let's finally finish this video and review my team and Lily's team. Okay, Lily's team. Dak Prescott, really talented and consistent. Mark Ingram, insanely worthless and usurped by a superior player. Todd Gurley, not very talented, plays on a horrible offense with a horrible quarterback. Some guy named Thiethen from Minnesota. Thiethen. Guess what? Diggs is the only one on that team that's going to get the ball. OBJ. Yeah, great. OBJ. He's probably going to get hurt this year. That's why I have Brandon Marshall. Kyle Rudolph. Absolutely horrible. Rudolph's not horrible, but like the offense, give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah.
Minnesota's offense is a farce. Matt Forte, he's a Jet. I mean, I don't like anything about this team. The Vikings defense is decent for what it's worth, and they play snow games. Okay, her special teams is decent because Crosby is good too. Then on her bench, Deshaun Jackson. He might steal some catches from Evans. We'll see how that works. Stafford, you know what, Stafford? You're a has-been. Kenny Stills.
He just signed the biggest deal in NFL history.
Yeah,
and he's a has-been.
Detroit is really, really fucking desperate for a few more 9-7 seasons, I guess. Kenny Stills likes it in the pooper. And as far as Lily's team goes, I'm going to say overall it is very unimpressive. I'm giving it a D, a droopy D.
Damn.
What do you say?
I'm gonna have to agree. Honestly, I don't see anybody on our team worth anything other than Odell if he stays healthy. And I drafted him in my other league, so I'm really counting on that. But it's a lot to go on because he already got hurt in the preseason. I don't know why the hell he was playing, but he's already probably going to sit out the first week. So I think you definitely have this game in the bag, considering she doesn't have a receiver sub to put in for him.
She kind of got hosed by the hurricane a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, that shit was announced before we drafted, so.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like they had moved the bye weeks before we did our draft, so she knew that they were going to be gone week 1.
Oh yeah.
Okay, evaluate my team. You do it. I'm not even gonna go. Go for it.
All right, Drew Brees, amazing. Nothing else needs to be said. LeGarrette Blount, I think you're riding on a lot of what he did last year. I don't think he's going to be very good in Philadelphia's offense. He had a huge year last year with New England. I don't think he's going to do what he did last year at all, just for the fact that he's in Philadelphia. Devontae Freeman, if he stays healthy, great running back, just because the offense, it's the number 1 offense in the league. They put in so many points. Crabtree, I think he's a good pick because he's going to be getting a lot more touchdowns than Cooper. Des Bryant, for some reason, Dak, I think it's because they were on like the Zeke hype train all last year, and I mean, why wouldn't you be? He's a beast. I think Des Bryant didn't get a lot of points last year, so people aren't very high on him. I think he'll have a lot better season this year, just for the fact that Dak doesn't have Zeke at his disposal for the first 6 weeks or weeks 2 through 7. Greg Olsen, great pick. I think the Panthers are going to be an elite team again this year. I really do. Brandon Marshall, I like him. I think he's going to take a lot of attention off OBJ. So I think if Odell stays healthy, I think Odell's going to have a bigger year. If he gets injured, I think Brandon Marshall was a huge pick. Gostkowski, elite kicker, Falcons defense. I mean, they kind of cost them the Super Bowl. So Odell, I think he's good for those discount double points with Brandon Marshall if you need him, but I don't think he's probably going to stay in there just for bye weeks because you have Breeze. Sproles, I think you got 2 Philadelphia running backs. Bad decision.
Well, I mean, if Blunt gets hurt, I want to be able to like plug little Sproles in.
Cover yourself. Mike Wallace, I think, was a solid, like, not a huge receiver, but he's Baltimore. Joe Flacco likes him a lot.
It's a flex guy.
Yeah, I think he's not a bad pick. Chris Hogan, I like a lot for the fact that Edelman's out. I think Amendola and him and Cooks are a huge dynamic, but Brady spreads the ball out so much, I don't think he's going to go off, but I think he's a good receiver to have just for the fact that he does get a bunch of targets. White, I think he's going to have a lot better season after the first week just because maybe he can figure out how to like get it all the way to the end zone. I think Gillislee stole a bunch of his touchdowns last night, so it was kind of good that you had him on the bench. Fuller, not huge on him. I don't think he's a huge receiver.
He's gone.
I think Hopkins and Lamar Miller are going to run that offense now. But I'd definitely give you the edge. I'd probably give you about a B.
A B, okay.
I think you have a good team.
Alright, and with that, the video concludes. Thank you for watching.